Hello, it's Dr. Driver here. I keep trying to record this lecture. It's very annoying. Okay, I'll try again. Let's see if I can make it more loud this time. I hope it's not too loud. You'll have to let me know. How the heck do I get a slide? Here, this is what I want. From the beginning, here we go. This is a lecture on Hesiod's Theogony. I read Hesiod's Theogony first in college, and I was fascinated by it. It is a very old text. It's thousands of years old, and it seems so alien and strange. I guess I wasn't too interested in relevance then. I was interested in really reaching out to the past, the distant past. It's a very compelling work that makes you feel like you've accomplished something by reading it. It is also central to the study of Greek mythology. The text is set in Boeotia, wherever that was. I looked it up. It's in central Greece. Read in translation, my ancient Greek never being really up to par, I did enjoy Hesiod, particularly in Latimore's translation. I did learn New Testament Greek when I thought I was writing my PhD dissertation on Bible production. But then I decided to write about Geoffrey Chaucer, which was a lot easier than forcing my way through New Testament Latin. In any case, this is Dr. Driver's reading of Latimore, who I think is a very good translator, though, as I just said, I only have command of New Testament Greek. The text is opaque, but it is also poetry. Many of the references will seem unfamiliar to you, though you'll recognize some of them. It is the story of the divine pantheon. It's the story of the beginning of the Olympians, as well as of the creation of the world. And this is Hesiod's version. It's the earliest written version, but it will not be the last. Okay. What we know about Hesiod is described in his other work, Works and Days, that we know. We know 3 works by him, actually. Hesiod's father was a farmer and a merchant. It's thought that Hesiod too was a farmer, though he was also a poet who went to a town called Euboea to compete with a poem in a competition, which he won. We have that on record, actually. So he's more identified as a poet than as a farmer or a shepherd. Hesiod is thus a Greek farmer-shepherd poet who lived, we think, about the middle of the 8th century BCE. He says in the Theogony he was a shepherd on Mount Helicon in Greece when he was visited and inspired by the Muses and given the olive staff. The Muses are the daughters of Zeus and Mnemosyne, the goddess of memory, from which we get the word mnemonic. Mnemosyne is the 5th wife of Zeus. Individually, the Muses are Clio, the goddess of history. Kleos is Greek for heroic acts. Clio is usually represented with a battle trumpet and a book. Euterpe is the goddess of rhetoric and the inventor of the flute. Thalia is the protector of comedy. She invents comedy, geometry, architectural science, and agriculture. She is often shown holding the drama mask of comedy, and as you may recall, Greek theater was performed in masks by actors wearing masks. Melpomene is the opposite of Thalia. She is the protector of tragedy. She invents tragedy and rhetorical speech, and she is often shown holding the frowning mask of tragedy. The 5th muse is Terpsichore. She invented dances, the harp, and education. Terpo in Greek means being amused. She is often shown dancing. 6th goddess, Erato, is the protector of love, poetry about love, and weddings. Her name comes from the Greek word eros, eroticism, erotic. Cupid, the son of Venus, the little love god, is sometimes called Eros. She is shown with a lyre and a bow and arrow. I have this one because I just found this online when I was looking for Nine Muses. This is apparently, I don't know, is this a pop group? You'll have to tell me. Polymnia is the protector of divine hymns. She invented geometry and grammar. Her name means much song. She is shown playing or holding a lyre. So you've got a number of people holding a lyre, which is, I'm going to avoid making jokes here. A lyre is a harp, not someone who tells lies. It's a form of harp. It's an early harp. The muse Urania protects celestial objects and stars. She invented astronomy. She is always depicted bearing stars and a celestial sphere. Her name means goddess of the mountains, the one who came from heaven. Sky goddess, really. Calliope is the most famous and remembered of the nine muses. Her role was to impose justice. She is also the protector of heroic poetry and rhetoric. The blind classical poet Homer says that Calliope inspired him to write the Iliad and the Odyssey. She is often shown with laurels in one hand, which were awarded to poets, and the two Homeric poems in the other hand. In ancient Greek, Calliope literally means beautiful voice. The Muses inspire Hesiod and give him an olive staff and teach him to sing the Theogony, thus giving him a voice, and that's the opening of the poem. Theogony is essentially an epic genealogy of the gods. It is a cosmogony, providing an etiology of the cosmos, the divine realm, and an etiological explanation of the origins of the gods and goddesses. Etiology is a story that explains origins, how something came to be. Theogony literally means origin of the gods. Theos in Greek means God. Gonia in Greek means begetting, creation. There are genealogical charts at the back of Lattimore, back of his translation of Theogony, after page 220. And there's also a glossary at the back, which is very helpful. So the universe, hang on, begins with chaos. Well, this is actually the chaos emblem from Get Smart, but I thought it was kind of funny. So in the beginning, the universe begins only with chaos. And the first four beings to exist are Chaos, Gaia, Tartarus, and Eros. Let's see if I got this chart here. Here it is. This is from Lattimore. Okay, so if you've got your Lattimore, you can actually look at the chart if you have it out. Okay, so the universe begins with chaos, and then we have Chaos, Gaia, who's the earth goddess, Tartarus, who is the underworld, a personification of the underworld, hell, Hades, and Eros, which is love, later Cupid. All of these four appear spontaneously. Okay, so they just come out of nowhere. Chaos produces Erebos and night without a mate. That's called parthenogenesis. Parthenogenesis, literally virgin birth. You see on the chart chaos with no consort mentioned. So Erebos and night come out of chaos directly, parthenogenically. And those two marry each other or mate with each other and produce ether and Hemera. Gaia, the earth, produces Oranos. Aurea, who is the mountains, and Pontos, the sea, again without consort. Gaia, the earth goddess, produces Oranos, who is the sky, Aurea, mountains, Pontos, sea, parthenogenically. Gaia then marries her son, Oranos, the sky god, and together they produce the Titans, the most important and youngest of whom is Kronos, who is described in the text as, quote, devious devising and most terrible of her children, unquote. That's in Lattimore, section 140 to 141. The Titans, the pre-Olympian gods, are the children of Gaia and Oranos. They are eventually banished to Tartarus, and the Olympian gods are born from the Titans. Other of their children include the 3 Cyclops with one eye in the middle of their forehead. This is talked about in section 140 of Lattimore. And 3 many-armed giants with 50 heads each, and that's at 150 in Lattimore. Each time these giants want to be born, Ouranos pushes them back inside Gaia, Mother Earth, who, quote, groaned within for the pressure of pain, unquote. This is in Lattimore, section 160. She then makes a sickle, not a knife, not a box cutter, but a giant sickle, and asks her children to avenge her on Ouranos, the sky god. But the only one to take the challenge is Kronos, and that's described in Lattimore at section 170. Here's a quote from the text. Quote, "And huge Ouranos came on, bringing night with him, and desiring love, he embraced Gaia and lay over her, stretched out, just like the sky stretches out over the earth. Complete, I think, refers to his erection. And from his hiding place, his son reached with his left hand and seized him, and holding in his right the enormous sickle, and lopped the members of his own father and threw them behind him." This is Lattimore, sections 177 to 183. Gaia then takes in the blood of Ouranos, and you see that section F on the genealogy here. And from Gaia and the blood are born the Furies, the Giants, and the Nymphs of the Ash Trees. And this is Lattimore, section 185. After Ouranos is castrated, his genitals float in the sea. Out of these come Aphrodite, also known as Venus. And you see that on the chart, part G. Members of Ouranos produce Aphrodite. So she is born from his genitals in the sea, the goddess of love. And her other names come from the place name where she rose from the sea. She comes first to Kythera, so sometimes she's called Kytheria, and then to Cyprus, where she's sometimes called Cyprian Aphrodite or Kypergenea, born on Cyprus. This is Lattimore 188. Another of Aphrodite's names is Philomedia, because she comes from members, that is, love members. This is Lattimore, section 201. Eros accompanies Aphrodite, and she gives the gifts of whispering together of girls, smiles and deception, delight and sweetnesses of love, and flattery to all humans. And that's Lattimore 205. The next chart shows the descendants of Night, who reproduces again, notice, without consort, parthenogenically. Among these are Thanatos, the god of death, and Nemesis, the goddess of retribution, who are the best known of all of these goddesses, her children. So these are all produced out of Night directly. Okay, then there follows a list of other gods and goddesses, including mention of the hero Perseus, who cuts off the head of Medusa, who is a Gorgon. You can see Gorgons on there. I think that's a J. And from her blood springs the winged horse Pegasus, who lives in the household of Zeus and carries the thunder and lightning for Zeus. And that's in Lattimore, section 285. Theogony also talks about the birth of Cerberus, or Kerberos, Cerberus, the bronze barking dog of Hades, 50-headed and powerful. So he's the dog who guards the underworld. And that's Lattimore, section 312. I want to call your attention here to P, section P here, where Perseus and Asteria are shown as the parents of Hecate. Perseus is a Titan and a destroyer god. Asteria is also a Titan. She's also one of the many lovers of Zeus. Hecate is central to the Theogony and had cults in both ancient Greece and Rome. She is sometimes seen as an aspect of the moon, and later in the medieval and Renaissance periods as a witch. Hesiod's catalog of Hecate's powers, while not exhaustive, give the impression of universality. She seems to govern everything, and thus is viewed perhaps as the ultimate mother goddess. As the child of the Titans, she is a Titan, but she alone is pardoned by Zeus in the later warfare between the Olympians and the Titans, and she is honored throughout. She's invoked in any religious sacrifice, so if you were sacrificing to one of the gods, you would always mention Hecate as well. She assists and gives advantage to men. She decides victory in battle. She sits beside solemn kings when they give judgment. This is all Lattimore, starting about 418, going through 440. She helps athletes win prizes. She aids the fishermen. She oversees farms. She protects children. She's also more commonly known as the goddess of the crossroads, so she symbolically links gods and men. In the Q chart, this is the great generation of Olympians. Here you see that Gaia marries Uranus, okay? So the earth goddess marries the sky god. And their children, brother and sister, Kronos and Rhea, marry and produce the Olympians, with whom you may be more familiar. The most recognizable of these are Demeter, who's the goddess of the grain, who marries Zeus, and they have their daughter Persephone, whom we'll be reading more about in the Homeric hymns and elsewhere, and Zeus and Hera, who produce Ares, Hebe, who's the goddess of youth and the cupbearer for the gods, and Aletheia, who's the Greek goddess of childbirth and midwifery, midwives. The other children of Rhea and Kronos are Hades, god of the underworld, and Poseidon, the sea god. Hestia, who's that first one, looks like Hestia, but it's Hestia more usually, not in its kind of, I think Lattimore's attempting to spell in a Greek fashion, but Hestia is the hearth goddess, and she was honored in every home in ancient Greece and in Rome. She was the guardian of the fire, by which one could cook and do other things. So she's the hearth goddess. She is the daughter as well of Rhea and Kronos. Like his father, Kronos is worried. Kronos fears his children will overthrow him. So as they are born, he devours them. Kronos was warned by his mother and by Ouranos that he will be overthrown by his son. So he's actually warned, I think, by his grandparents. This is Lattimore 465. When the god Zeus is born, Rhea conspires to substitute a stone that she and her mother Gaia say is the newborn baby. This is Lattimore section 485. She wrapped a great stone in baby clothes, and this she presented to the High Lord, son of Ouranos, who once ruled the immortals, and he took it then in his hands and crammed it down in his belly. And that's in section 485. Zeus is hidden away on the island of Crete until he grows up. Zeus then ambushes Kronos and forces Kronos to vomit up the children he has eaten, the Olympian gods. Zeus, the king of the Olympian gods, has many wives and is unfaithful with many. Hang on, where am I going here? Oh, this is Zeus and Kronos again. We lost. Hold on. Here we are. Okay, so we're at S. His first wife is Metis, who is an ocean goddess. Metis means thought. After which Athena, goddess of wisdom, bursts full grown and wearing full armor from Zeus's forehead. Next, actually above in this chart, you see at R the children of Iapetos and Clymene. Iapetus is a Titan, the son of Ornos and Gaia, and the father of Atlas, Prometheus, Epimetheus, and Menoetius. Atlas, of course, you remember him holding the world on his shoulders. So he holds up the world on his shoulders. And if you've been to Rockefeller Center, you will have seen Atlas there holding up a very lightweight looking world in that little area close to where they put the Christmas tree at Rockefeller Center. Menoetius is the god of rash actions and violent anger. Hesiod includes a rather long story about Prometheus, who is the son of the Titan Iapetus and the ocean nymph Clymene. Agile and handsome, quote, of the intricate and twisting mind, he can foresee the future and always looks forward, pro, and loves humanity. He gives humans fire. He teaches humans how to use fire. Prometheus challenges Zeus, and for his insurrection is captured and placed in perpetual chains, with his liver devoured daily by an eagle. And every night the liver miraculously grows back and the eagle returns and eats it again. This is at Lattimore 525. Prometheus is eventually rescued by Hercules or Heracles. Epimetheus is the brother of Prometheus and can only see backward, see the past, epi. He is ugly and gullible, and he longs for a bride. Zeus, being kind of peeved at Prometheus, then has all the gods conspire to make the most beautiful woman, Pandora, to give to Epimetheus. And Pandora comes equipped with a jar, sometimes in later stories a box, that she's cautioned never to open. She can do anything she wants, she can have anything she wants, but she should just not look in that jar. Of course, that's the one thing she wants to do, and she looks in the jar and unleashes all the evils of the world through opening the jar and leaves only hope at the bottom. Pandora, says Hesiod, is the mother of all mortal women, who are, quote, a great sorrow, unquote, to mortal men, and who only share luxury with men, not poverty, which seems to imply that they only marry rich men, not poor ones. This is at section 590 in Hesiod. Rather misogynist there. Women also bring upon men hard labor. That's in section 600. But Hesiod then says, a man without a wife will have a mournful old age, no heirs, no one to care for him, no companionship. So it doesn't sound good either way. So it sounds like you should be married, but women are trial. And even if a man does marry a good wife, he may have, quote, cantankerous children, and for this evil there is no healing. That's at section 610. So you just can't win. Kronos then starts a war against the Olympians for the power to rule, so the Titans fight the Olympians for 10 full years. Zeus wins, banishes Kronos and the rebellious Titans to a pit below Tartarus, encircled by bronze walls. Hesiod then describes the underworld above the pit, ruled over by Hades and Persephone, the dog Cerberus, and by the river Styx, who is the oldest daughter of Ocean. She's also, in addition to being a river, she's also a goddess who lives in a palace. So you have to kind of expand your imagination when reading about these characters. The Titanomachy, that's not correct. It's got to be the Titanomachy. The Titanomachy. Well, it's Titanomachy. That's the word that's used to describe the war between the gods and the Titans. Zeus wins and banishes the Titans, as I've just said. Now, at R, we see, and S, we see some of Zeus's connections and children, including Zeus and none other than Mnemosyne, and that's at V, who produces the 9 muses with whom we started. The text also describes Zeus's lovers, including Demeter, their child is Persephone, Leto, whose children are Apollo, the sun god, and Artemis, the moon goddess, and his marriage to Hera. Birth of Athena is interesting. Hesiod actually gives you two versions in the text. So look at Lattimore, pages 179 and 180. These two different versions seem to come from two different extant texts of the Theogony. The production of Athena bursting forth from Zeus's head after he swallows her mother, Thought. Then Hera, to get vengeance on Zeus for all of his infidelity, gives birth to Hephaestus. And she's able to do that by herself. More parthenogenesis. Hephaestus is a god who surpasses all in the arts and crafts. And in other texts, he is called the smithy of the gods or the blacksmith of the gods. And he's the husband of Aphrodite. Chart W shows the children of Aphrodite, who's called Cytherea in the text at Lattimore 930. And these are her children with Ares, who is her lover. Notice these children: Panic, Terror, and Harmonia. Think about the sibling rivalry there. Anyway, Harmony, marries Cadmos, who is a mortal king, and their daughter is Semele, who is born human. She becomes a lover of Zeus, who appears in her bedroom as a rain of gold coins, as I remember dimly, and at least in some versions of the story. And Zeus appears to her. Well, Zeus and Semele have this thing going on. Semele becomes pregnant, and she asks Zeus to give her what she most wants. And what she most wants is, which he swears by the sticks he will do. And there's a whole thing in Hesiod about what happens to gods when they don't keep promises that are made to the river Styx. So Zeus swears by the sticks, and he appears to Semele. Her request is that he show up in his full godlike demeanor, and he appears, and she's burnt up, literally inflamed by this, burns up, and Zeus snatches the baby from her womb and sews the baby in his leg. So Zeus gives birth through his leg to an immortal, Dionysus, or Bacchus. Now, Dionysus, you may recognize, he is the god of the grape, he is the god of wine, he's the god of fertility, and he is also the god of theater. And there was an altar in every Greek theater to Dionysus. So drama, early Greek drama, was performed in honor of the god Dionysus, which is one reason you don't see any violence ever taking place directly in ancient theater. Always happens off stage because they didn't want to offend the god. So then the Theogony ends with a list of goddesses who mated with mortals. Hesiod says, "Oh, sweet-spoken muses of Olympus, sing out now the names of those goddesses who went to bed with mortal men." This is section 966. And then the poem ends very curiously, and I'll just read it to you. My Theogony here. Hang on. Yep. Here we are. This is page 186 in Lattimore. "Now, O sweet-spoken muses of Olympus, daughters of Zeus of the Aegis, sing out the generation of women. Like her, or like her, or like her, who?" That's the end. Now, it's thought that this very curious ending was a connecting piece to another work by Hesiod that was called the Catalogue of Women, which seems to have been about heroic women, great deeds done by women. This work has been lost, and we've only got a few quotations from it. So have a read of Theogony, and then after watching this and reading the text, take the quiz.